we've got even more cards that have been revealed since we last discussed Lorcana's upcoming set, Rise of the Floodborn. Maybe, fourth or fifth time's a charm, we'll finally get some Pinocchio cards? Let's find out. Welcome, Rebels, and today we have another laid-back video here for you. We're just going to jump right into the new cards. We got a lot to go over. First one we have is Advisor to the King, Grand Duke. Now, this is a Storyborn ally card from Cinderella, Strength 2, Willpower 2, and his ability is, Yes, Your Majesty. So your Prince, Princess, King, and Queen characters get +1 Strength. He's only 1 lore. That seems kind of great because it just seems like it's a passive effect that's just always the case. So even if you have a princess like your Moana that's usually just at 1 strength, if he's just in play, she's suddenly 2 and hitting back harder.
Yeah, this guy honestly is what, everybody plays the Archimedes and the Goons currently. And this guy is that, but better, because he can buff your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he is cost 2 compared to those which are at least cost 1. But it's such a great passive, especially if you're building decks that have those specific terms in them. It's because also I believe that, King of Olympus Hades is a king. So he gets +1 for every villain as well. So that's just, +1 lore, so people are always trying to attack him if you have a lot of villains in play, so it's that makes him a little bit tougher too.
Yeah, definitely, and I love that he's inkable too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this is to me, this is a definite run in an Amber deck.
Yeah.
It's a definite run in an Amber deck if you are going down the princess or royalty path.
Yeah, which it seems like we're getting more of in this set.
Yeah. So the next card, speaking of royalty, the next card is Mulan Reflecting. And it's a Floodborn, so, set name. Hero, princess, it's, Mulan in her painted up garb, which I personally think that's cool. It's just very authentic.
Or Mulan's is always good. I like that movie a bit.
It's a 4 cost. It is inkable, which I always love it being inkable. 3/3 for strength and willpower. 2 lore, which is also nice. It's a shift 2.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
So we haven't seen a card that this would be able to really efficiently shift onto just yet, because I think the only other Mulan card that's been revealed is that Ruby one that I think is 3 or 4 cost. It's almost the same cost. So there's got to be, I'm guessing, another Amber Mulan that's going to be cost 2 or 1.
Possibly, yeah. And its ability is Honor to the Ancestors. Whenever this character quests, you may reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a song card, you may play it for free. Otherwise, put it on the top of your deck. So, pretty cool. You get to see the next card in your deck regardless, because you're not going to lose it. It goes back on the top if it's not a song.
Well, here's the thing. You have to reveal it, which means your enemy gets to see, your opponents get to see it as well.
True, but we don't have a ton right now that can mess up your deck that way, make you have to pull cards off and throw it away. There's not a ton right now.
And more so, though, you can, your opponent will be able to kind of decide what they want to do, though. It will give them a little bit of an advantage because they'll know what your next card you're going to draw is. Because, what if you see it's a Dragon's Flame or a Be Prepared or something like that? They're going to know then.
Well, guess what? Be Prepared gets played immediately. So,
that is Be Prepared. Maybe so I guess the only, because I'm thinking also, Grab Your Swords is also a song that would get played. Because I'm thinking, this would be very useful in those Amber Steel song decks that, is kind of a little bit of a meta right now. Which would be definitely really good for getting more songs out there, being able to play it for free. I'm thinking this would be fun to have in my deck, because I have 4 Friends on the Other Side in my Amber Amethyst deck. So a free draw 2 cards. That's nice. And also encourage me to play a few more songs then in my deck. Because I do have quite a few songs I use just for inking typically, Part of Your World or Hakuna Matata. I just have in there where it's just they might be useful, but not really ever, and I'd just rather ink them. If it's a free play,
Yeah, it's excellent. It's a good card.
Especially if because I do run Reflection in my deck as well, so I get a Reflection with her.
It's true.
Works out thematically. Our next card, which we slightly touched on last time because of the pin, is the Gifted Artist Rapunzel. Now, we actually get more of her statistics here. She's cost 5, inkable, Floodborn character, so she's shift 3. Now, here's where that other Amber card we were talking about would come in handy for her, because starting off, she has 0 strength, 6 defense, which is good, but you're going to be able to attack her at no cost to your health.
We haven't had one of these yet. We've had 0 strength, but they're challengers where they actually get strength for attacking, but they don't have defense. We haven't had a strength 0, have we?
We have Cheshire Cat, but he...
Oh, yep, you're right.
He has that thing, though, where he's like that because if you do challenge and banish him, you lose that card that does it.
Right.
Her ability, which is Let Your Power Shine, is whenever you remove 1 or more damage from one of your characters, you may draw a card. So being actively challenged doesn't benefit her at all. So I'd say this is the first time we have a 0 strength card that doesn't really have any defenses against being challenged.
Yeah, so obviously the point of her having high defense here is for that ability, right? So the point is high defense, she can soak a couple hits, you can use things to remove damage and let you draw cards.
Yeah. You can also choose never to play her, so she just sits there.
I don't think this is a great disc mechanic right now that we have going for draw support.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Not overly thrilled on this card myself.
To see what other cards might balance it out, I feel like. Because right now, it's like... the only use I would really see for her is if you play her with other cards that heal damage. So, if you have like actually this card does give some proper use Dinglehopper then. Or like typically that's I'm just inking this whenever I see this card because it's typically not useful, but that has more use now because it's like, I just challenge somebody, give my character damage, and then, use my Dinglehopper, heal them up 1 with this card in play, I can draw a card then. So specific stuff like that, but I feel like as well, it's like if you're looking for that draw support, you're going for that Rockstar Stitch over this Rapunzel.
Right.
Which they're both Floodborn cards. But, I mean, we have to see what other cards are in the deck that would be useful to it.
Very true. The next card, super useful card in my opinion. I play a very aggressive style, so anyone that's played against me knows. Some people have told me it's a bit frustrating, but...
We haven't actually faced against each other much, I've realized.
We haven't, no.
Because whenever we go to our game store to play, it's on different days because of our availability.
Very true.
I think our second game ever playing together was the one we did for our example game for the channel.
Very true. So you've actually not faced my completely built deck lately. But anyways, so Last Stand, it's an action card. It's from Raya and the Last Dragon. It's got Raya and Namari, the 2 main characters, the villain and the hero.
Like, how did you know
stand off with each other?
But yeah, her name's on the card. I see that.
I'm aware of it, but I also I have done a little bit more research as we've discussed. It's a movie both of us haven't really watched, but I've done more research.
Maybe I should finish this. I've seen up to before the jump forward in time, but I don't remember much of it all because when you have nieces and nephews over who are quote unquote watching the movie, you don't really watch the movie.
Very true. Two cost on this card, not inkable, but is 2 cost, and I'm okay with the not inkable because this card lets you banish chosen character who was challenged this turn. You can take a little Archimedes, swing at a big character
like a Dragon Maleficent,
and then drop this down after, and they're gone.
Yep. It's kind of like a Dragon's Breath, but for cost 2. I actually think this is even better than you have to play 2 cards. Technically, I guess. You don't even need to play 2. You have to sacrifice a character card, but in an Amber deck, which is what color this is, where you're getting 500 billion cards out there anyway. Especially mix this in with a Rockstar Stitch deck, where you're just playing tons of low-cost character cards anyway. It's like somebody breaks out that Dr. Facilier that's really annoying. Instead of having to throw a ton of stuff at it, it's just like, all right, I throw my Stitch at it, it gets banished, but then so do you. Absolutely. Yeah, it does seem strong, and I'm actually fine, as much as we like to meme on uninkable cards. Low-cost ones are quite useful, like 1 jump ahead. it's an uninkable cost too, but it's like whenever you get that card, it's a I want to play this card immediately kind of card.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, definitely still very useful.
I do want to throw in here real quick, just because I'm absolutely curious. You know, both of us are Disney fans, right? There's very few Disney movies we haven't seen. This is one we haven't seen. Throw up a comment if you have watched this movie, and if it's worth it, let us know. I mean, I think we're kind of at the point where both of us probably going to sit down and watch it at some point, but it'd be kind of cool to see.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch this for like since we last talked about it, but I haven't watched a movie in like 2 months. I've been so busy. It was funny, and I haven't watched a brand new movie in like 4 or 5 months. It's been a while, but I do want to get around to it eventually. The last Amber card we're going to talk about is Dragon Gem. It is a cost 3 uninkable card. It is an item. Do you know? Is this like from Raya? It says Dragon Gem, so I would assume.
I'm not positive on this one because it could be. I mean, the way it looks, I don't think we have any Black Cauldron yet. But there's no dragons at Black Cauldron.
In that.
It's another one I haven't seen. Sorry.
I'm guessing maybe that, but its ability is Bring Back to Life. So if you exert it and use up 3 ink, you can return a character card with support from your discard to your hand. Now, this one, I've been wanting to build more support, or putting more supports in my decks, because I realize kind of how useful they can be if used properly. Typically, I don't really use them at all. Like, I know the big one not big one, but the main one in Amber is like the Hey Hey, which is, a cost 1 card that has support +1. But I was looking at some other stuff, and there's some support cards out there, like the Merlin. I think that's in Sapphire deck. That's like, he has a strength of 3. So his support gives somebody +3 strength, which is, just as useful, I'd say, as Challenger. A Challenger +3, but you also get to score lore from that person questing. So, I don't think there's a meta for it at all or anything, but it does seem like it could be useful, especially if they release some support cards that are useful in other terms.
Yeah, possibly. This card for me, like I said, I play an aggressive style, so I don't use a ton of support cards, so it's not an interesting card too much to me, but I do see how it could be useful to some, especially in the Amber deck, because there is, like you said, the Hey Hey that people do use. So I could definitely see it used in the Amber deck.
Yeah, and that actually would be really good then for, like, instead of having more Stitches or some other 1-cost cards in your Amber deck for the Rockstar Stitch deck, put more Hey Heys in, because it's just a way for you to get it back in your hand to play and draw another card.
Absolutely. So now we're going to move on to some Amethyst cards, and I'm going to start with Arthur, Wizard's Apprentice. It's a Dreamborn hero sorcerer. It is 3 cost uninkable, 1 for strength, 3 for willpower, 1 lore. All those stats not good, make you kind of not happy about the card. But then the ability that he has is Student. Whenever this character quests, you may return another chosen character of yours to your hand to gain 2 lore. That ability makes this card at least a possibility, because everything else, the 3, the uninkable, with only 1 attack power, 1 lore naturally on his own.
It's like an Ola, but it's 3 instead of 1. It's uninkable.
It's not appetizing to me, but you throw the ability in there, and now, okay, I could maybe see myself throwing 1 of this into a Amethyst deck.
I was gonna say, like, maybe 1 or 2, just for the reason of, especially once again, I go back to this because this is, there's many different strategies you could, but I'm thinking Rockstar Stitch deck. You're throwing so many characters out there that you quest with him, you just return one of those 1 lore characters back to your hand. You get 2 lore, so instead of questing with that character, you get 2 lore instead of 1, then you can just play them again. So it's like, there is some...
Well, there's nothing that says that you can't already have quested with the character beforehand, too. So you quest with all your characters and use him last, and then pop 1 back to your hand for 2 more lore. It can be done to capture a game win. It could be done to capture a game win. I think it has some use, is what I'll say. I'm not overly enthused by it, but it has some use.
Talk about super not overly enthused with. We have our upcoming cards here that we're ready to talk about. It's kind of a little bit of a set. We'll start off with Thox Madam Mim. It's a Storyborn Villain Sorcerer. Another card from Sorcerer's Apprentice. It seems like we're getting a lot more Sorcerer's Apprentice in this set here.
Sword and Stone.
Sorry. Yeah.
It's all good.
Sword in the Stone. Somebody said that the other week and I corrected them, and I think it infected my brain where now I'm the one saying that. Because I was at somewhere and somebody said, oh yeah, Merlin from Sorcerer's Apprentice. And I was like, no, that's Sword in the Stone. But I think it got to me. So she's a 4/3 for willpower, or for strength willpower. Now, you'll notice this for all of the Madam Mim cards we're going to talk about. Spoilers, there's more. But they have this really weird ability. This one is Chasing the Rabbit. When you play this character, banish her or return another chosen character of yours to your hand. And she also has Rush and 1 lore. Now, so this means if you play her, you either have to immediately banish her, which kind of beckons the question of why would you play her then? Or you have to return a character from your, that's in play to your hand. So I don't know, that seems like a really weird ability. The only time I could see it useful is it's like, you really need to get out there and challenge. So like you've quested with somebody, so they got you your point, but you really need to take out somebody's opponent. She has Rush. The 4 strength will, banish the character that you need, and you can return a character to your hand. So I guess it's slightly better than I was thinking ahead of time, because you just return it to your hand. You don't banish the other character card. So it's like,
I feel like there's a card we're missing when it comes down to this set. Like there's gotta be a reason for this. I know that we did see, I can't remember the card. There was a card that actually would show, or that would benefit you when you popped cards back to your bounce, I think, right? Bounce had like a benefit to it.
That's Emerald though.
True. So I'm not, we're missing something, I feel like, because yeah, you're right. When you read this, it's like, why exactly would I want to do this? So I feel like we have to be missing something. And
I think I know what it is, because I think when I was reading these at first, I was thinking you have to banish her or banish one of your your cards. You're only returning them to your hand, which means you can still play them again. So I guess if it's I challenged with this character, they've taken damage and there's nothing else they can do, I can essentially swap them out with a Madam Mim. It goes back to my hand, heals that character. So there is more use now that I'm thinking about it. But definitely, I think it's just not in our typical play style, the way we play. Like, when I play with Amethyst cards, it's way more for cards that really help me mess around with what's in my deck, less the cards that are in front of me.
Yeah, possibly. We'll see. And along the lines, I'll get into the next Madam Mim card here. It's Madam Mim Purple Dragon. And 7 cost, inkable card, 5 attack, 7 willpower. It's Storyborn Villain Sorcerer Dragon. So this is another dragon card. We have the Maleficent Dragon. Now we have Madam Mim Dragon. Possibly going to be able to build a dragon deck. Maybe. That'd be kind of cool. I'm not going to lie, just because I like dragons. But 4 lore. This one makes sense. It says it's got evasive as well, and when you play this character, banish her or return 2 chosen characters of yours to your hand. This one makes more sense because you're picking up 4 lore and she's evasive.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the, in the first chapter, we only had 1 card that had 4 lore, which was the Brave Little Tailor Mickey.
Correct.
You're going to see in, the cards we talk about in the future, there's a lot more 4 lore cards that have been added to the game. And, she's 1 cost less. They both have evasive, her and the Mickey card. Hers just has that little thing there where you have to basically return 2 cards to your hand. But yeah, definitely I think the lore amount is what's going to really make her have at least a couple of her in your deck. But once again though, that whole weird thing of just you have to put 2 cards back into your hand, which can be useful, can be damaging, depends.
When this card releases, when this set comes out, I might try to build a dragon deck. I might try it.
That's the other thing, by the way, as well. With this card, you have to have multiple characters out. If you try to play her and you have no characters out, you can't play her.
True.
I guess that's the thing, is it's like, that's kind of like the give and take with her. So, better or worse than the Brave Little Tailor? Not sure.
Have to see. We'll have to see it played.
The third and final Madam Mim card is Snake. Cost 2, inkable. It's 3 strength, 3 willpower. Her ability is Just You Wait. When you play this character, banish her or return another chosen character of yours to your hand with just 1 lore. So, kind of similar to that other Madam Mim card we saw, but cost 1 less, doesn't have rush. This is the one more than any where it's just like, I feel like the only use for this would be, oh, I have a character who has 5 damage on him, has 1 health left. I want to bounce him back to my hand to take that damage off and then replay him.
Hey, I'm glad that you're trying to find a stretch scenario where we're going to use that card, but that one to me is the worst of them, and there's no way I'm using it.
Because, like, I could see it maybe if, like, one of these other Mana Mim cards was, like, a shift. Where it's like, okay, this is a cost 2 Mana Mim card, get it out there, cost 2. Next turn, you can shift one onto this one. But there is no that we can see so far. And I mean, we've got 3 of her. I highly doubt we're going to see a 4th one. Maybe we will. That hasn't been revealed. But I don't know.
I doubt it.
Not much more to say on that card compared to the other 2, at least.
And so next, we did the 3 Madam Mims. Now we get to do the 3 Merlins.
4 Merlins, actually.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So then, hey, maybe there's a 4th Madam Mim coming. So we'll start with Merlin Crab. 3 inkable, 3 for its strength, 3 for its willpower.
3 everything.
No, only 1 lore. But but its ability is Ready or Not. When you play this character and when he leaves play, chosen character gains Challenger +3 this turn.
There's 3.
There's the other 3. Yeah. You know, to me, again, you know, when he leaves play, a chosen character gets Challenger +3 this turn. Okay, that's useful. He's inkable at least.
I was going to say, all these Merlin abilities, they're similar with Madam Mim, where all of her cards kind of had to do with, you know, bouncing a character or 2 back to your hand when you play her. This one is always, when you play the card and then when he leaves play, the Merlin cards do something. I think that is slightly more useful. It gives, I actually like that quite a bit compared to usually you just get, like, when you play this character, and it's like, okay, that's cool when you first do it, but then the card can't really do anything else like that. I'd say the only card that I get use out of, outside of just when I play her, is the Sorcerer Maleficent, because I can just use her to sing Friends on the Other Side, because she's cost 3, which is nice. And actually, thinking of it now, that Sorceress Maleficent is a Amethyst card, for those Mana Mim cards, bouncing her back to your hand so you can play or draw another card.
That's true. That's actually a good for it.
Pretty good. But yeah, plus I think that's kind of neat, where he gives you something when he starts, gives you something when he leaves. You'll kind of see that theme for the rest of them. So we'll go to the next one, which is Goat Merlin, Storyborn, Mentor Sorcerer. I think Mentor is a brand new term, right?
Yes, definitely for this set. I have not seen a Mentor before.
Yeah. He's cost 4 inkable, 4 strength, 3 willpower, and what his is, when you play this character and when he leaves play, gain 1 lore. So that's kind of good because, you know, like, say that you're getting near the top of your, the cap of 20 lore and somebody needs to take out your characters or else you might win. They're going to want to think twice about defeating this Merlin. And it's just when he leaves play. So that means either being banished through Dragon's Breath or challenged, you get a lore from that. So that's kind of decent. So this would be the kind of card that you'd want to, if you have the ability to, keep him from being able to be unexerted or playing it or, something to do with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I personally like this card for gaining the lore when they leave. It's a 4 cost, it's inkable, all around a solid card in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And the next one then is a Merlin Rabbit. It's 4 cost as well, but this one's uninkable. This one's a 2 strength and a 3 willpower. And Hoppity Hip is its ability. When you play this character and he leaves play, you may draw a card.
That's pretty good for me. I like drawing cards.
I mean, I just don't see... There's so many other draw card abilities in Amethyst I'm not sure why you would play this one, especially because it's uninkable and could get trapped in your hand because it's 4 cost.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's the kind of card where I'd probably put 1 or 2 of in my deck. I like drawing cards a lot. I find the game very frustrating when I don't have any cards in my hand. So being able to do that is pretty nice for me. So that's why, like, I might put 1 or 2 in there because of the whole, you know, when you play him and then when he leaves, you get it. Could get trapped, but 4 is kind of that safe. Like, 4 would be like, I wouldn't want to go any higher than 4. Like, if he was cost 5, that's when I'd start to be like, okay, I'm not sure about that.
I don't want to go higher than 3 with an uninkable myself, but
I typically don't have too many problems getting to at least 4 ink, especially the way that I deal with mulligans when I play. I will typically, like, mulligan until I have a lot of ink in my hand or 1s. That's kind of like how I play. So I'm always able to get myself to the amount of ink that I need at least. Now, typically when I find myself in a lot of trouble, which happened to me last time I played, as I got stuck with 2 uninkable 8 cost cards in my hand. One of them was the Scar that can shift, but I couldn't get any more ink down. And the other, so one of them was uninkable 8, which was that Scar. The other one was inkable, but the Brief Little Tailor Mickey. And I'm just like, I don't want to ink you turn this card into ink. I want to play it. So I'm stuck with 4 ink. I have an 8, an 8, a 5, and a 5. And all my other cards are uninkable. And I'm just like, see, this is why I don't play with 5 uninkables. So maybe that's why I made that my hard cutoff.
I don't even play with cards that cost 8 or more personally either. So,
well, the Scar one's nice because I play with a lot of the other Scars in that in the Ruby deck, so I can shift him onto them for cheaper. And I only have the 1 in, but you know, I probably should remove it. But that's getting a little off topic. The final Merlin we got here is Squirrel Merlin. He is class 2, inkable, 2 willpower. 2 strength, 1 willpower. Look before you leap. When you play this character and when he leaves play, look at the top card of your deck. Put it on either the top or the bottom of your deck. I think for a common card, it's 1 lore. That's a pretty decent ability there. I like that card. It is quite surprising though, where all of these Merlin cards that we have, including the normal Merlin card that we talked about previously, none of them are Floodborn. So, you know, we got all these Merlins. None of them are able to shift, which I think is quite weird, but it's a decent 2 cost card though.
There could be one coming, but we'll see. So now moving on, we have a Pinocchio card. What? We have Pinocchio himself, Star Attraction, Storyborn Hero, 2 cost, uninkable, 1 strength, 1 willpower. I mean, he is just a wooden puppet.
Yeah.
No abilities, but 3 lore.
Guy's an upgraded. He's like a +1 Lilo.
That 3 lore.
Or this is like, all right, +1 to how much he costs, but also +1 to lore.
You get him out turn 2, and people have to deal with him. People have to deal with him.
And that's why, like, especially with my deck, I get more of those Protective Cub Simbas. It's like, he's scoring me. Like, if I get, you know, Lilo, him, and my Simba Cub out turn 3, you know, in 3 turns, that's like, you know, 5 lore for me.
That's true.
You know, that's, you know, 4 turns and it's over type of deal.
If somebody bricks their hand and they're trapped out of the gate and they really need some draw support to get going, this guy easily gets probably 6 lore before they can deal with him.
Yeah, quite problematic, especially, you know, like, once again, a Rockstar Stitch deck is what I'm thinking of, where it's like, you're just playing tons of cards out there, getting tons of bodyguards out there, and he's just netting you 3 lore each turn until people deal with your bodyguards and then him. It's, we get our first Pinocchio card, and it's quite good at that, too.
Yep. But there's no more. There's no more Pinocchio, right?
Yeah, no more good Pinocchios, I'm sure. Except, what's this one? Oh, another cost 2 uninkable Pinocchio card. 1 strength, 1 willpower like before. Only 1 lore. But his ability, Telling Lies, is when you play this character, you may exert chosen opposing character. So, this is a good... whereas the other one is good for scoring lore, this is a good one for being able to deal with cards that are protected.
Yep.
Where it's like we were talking earlier, or, you know, in an earlier video about that Cogsworth, that you can just have sit there do nothing with him, and he's just making all your cards stronger. There's no reason to quest or do anything with him. You know, you're able to exert that card and then be able to challenge and take care of it.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
The Duke that was at the top of our video here, that first card we reviewed, that's a card you wouldn't want to exert to have get her either, because it's buffing your princesses and royalty.
And he only gives you one lore anyway.
Right. So this guy gets you to get out, and
it's like a cheaper version, because we've seen cards like this in the game before, either like the very rare and highly sought after Elsa cards that can do that are also in Amethyst, or I believe is it Amethyst or Sapphire for Let It Go?
Let It Go is Sapphire.
I believe that one also allows you to exert one chosen character, correct?
No, Let It Go throws the character.
Oh, no, yeah, it's not Let It Go then. There's another... Frozen is the name of the ability. Sorry. They both visually look the same. Frozen allows you to exert a chosen character. That is also an Amethyst deck, actually.
Yep.
So, a cheaper character card alternative to, like, either what you have the Elsa cards or that Frozen card. So yeah, quite useful, especially because of its low cost. Another 2 good Pinocchio cards back to back. Still no Monstro card, but hey, at least we finally got some Pinocchio.
Yeah, I'm still
gonna have to find something new to say at the beginning of my videos now.
So the next card we're gonna go into is back to, you know, Madame Mims, but it isn't a Madame Mim character card. It is a song called Gruesome and Grim. The picture is Madame Mim as the cat, Madame Mim. 3 cost, uninkable, and play a character with cost 4 or less for free. They gain rush. At the end of the turn, you have to banish them. So it follows along the same pattern of the Madame Mim character cards with the banishment at the end. But again, like you said, it gives you rush. You immediately can swing and hit somebody.
I think this is very dependent, because it is like either you're going to use a character up to sing it, which means, you know, you're wasting a character's potential attack, or you're using up 3 ink to play it, which is, you know, play a character with cost 4 or less. So the only thing it would do is it's like, oh, I only have 3 ink I can use, and I have a character that costs 4. Besides that, especially since it's uninkable, I don't really think this card is worth it at all, because it's like either you waste a character to sing it, which might be possible if you have like a weaker character, but it needs to be at least cost 3. And not many characters that are cost 3 have, like, you know, less than 2 for their strength. So it seems very, very dependent, because the character that you play has to be cost 4 or less, and they have to rush and then be banished. So it's like you have to play it with a character card that has a very, very high strength when you play it.
Yeah, I don't see myself using any of the Madame Mim cards, to be completely honest, so...
I mean, even for me, who might want to play some of those Madame Mim cards, I don't think I'd ever play this one. It seems way too specific in its use, where it's like the only time I think this card would be useful is, like I said, if you only have 3 ink left to use, and you want to play a character that costs 4. Because if it's a character that costs 3, I guess actually, because the rush ability, because my brain was thinking to like Rafiki, which is cost 3, and he has a rush already, but it does give a character rush, actually. So it's like if you need to attack right away and you don't have any rush characters in your hand, or you don't play with a lot of rush, this does give you the ability to rush them. So a little bit, so actually there is a little bit more use to it than I was thinking, but still, I don't typically rush a lot anyway.
Yeah, I don't.
I bear, like, those Rafiki cards were some of the first to leave my deck, because I just don't rush often. I prefer more so to get characters out there that have special unique abilities that do stuff for me, like I said, helping me control my deck, or things like that, than just to rush it. Alright, so we're going to get into Emerald cards now. Not too many left. You know, there's a ton of those Madame Mim and Merlin cards, which took up a lot of the time here. First one we are going to talk about is Relentless Beast. Now, he's cost 6, inkable, 4 strength, 5 willpower. He gets 2 lore, and he has what I think is really good ability, which is Second Wind. Whenever an opposing character is damaged, you may ready this character. So it's like you have a bunch of, you know, 1 lore characters, and you have him out, you just have them keep, you have him, the Beast quest, you have that character attack somebody, he gets to ready up again and then quest again for 2 lore. So it's like you can be challenging and helping damage your opponent's characters, but also being able to basically score 2 lore each time you do that.
Yeah, this card is definitely very cool, very awesome. We've already seen with Emerald, especially the Beauty and the Beast characters in Emerald. Emerald is going to be tough to deal with this next set. Emerald was already tough to deal with, but what we have coming in Emerald is scary good.
Yeah, he is legendary, so, gonna be very, very rare, hard to get, but quite good if you do have him.
Very true. And so, his counterpart is Bell, and that's the next card we're going into, Bell Bookworm. So we've seen the Archer, the Hidden Archer Bell, which we said absolutely amazing. This Bell is Bell Bookworm. It is 3 cost, uninkable, 2 strength, 4 willpower, 1 lore, and use your imagination. While an opponent has no cards in their hand, this character gets 2 more lore. 2 more lore is actually pretty nice, because that brings her up to 3 lore.
Yeah, this card pairs... I think it's interesting, because this seems like the card that you would shift the other Bell onto. However, her ability is very useful if she is played and used after that Bell's ability has been used, where I think if that Bell is challenged or banished, right, the opponent has to discard their entire hand.
Correct.
So she's very useful. Then after that, where, okay, if you make the opponent discard their hand, if you have one of her in play, so say you choose not to shift that other Bell onto there, you play her and play this one as well, you get that Bell to make them lose their hand. This Bell suddenly gets 3 lore because that opponent has no cards in their hand. And it also means the opponent, if they want to play it safe, need to keep at least 1 card in their hand, and then maybe they don't want to play it or turn it to ink. It's quite interesting. I do actually kind of appreciate how you can either get that Bell out there sooner, the Floodborn one, to shift it onto this one, and then you lose the useful ability that this card would have after the opponent has discarded their entire hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I continue to say Emerald is getting really amazing cards.
I get it, because I guess maybe you might have a different opinion because you play more competitive than I do, but I find Emerald to be my least favorite color of what I've played so far. I really like the characters and what they can do in Amber and Amethyst, how you can really control your deck. Blue is probably my favorite because of, being able to mess around with your inkwell. And then Steel just has all those defensive abilities and being able to just target and deal damage. And then Ruby has just that really aggressive stance to it. Emerald has a lot of useful cards, and I do like Emerald, but when it comes to when I'm building stuff, the last card I think about or color I think about is Emerald.
Yeah, I mean...
And this is kind of building it up in my opinion now.
Yeah.
Alright, so up next we have Secret Agent Daisy Duck. A Dreamborn ally, which is why we have that very interesting title for her. She is cost 4, inkable, 2 strength, 3 willpower, 2 lore, which is nice for a 4 cost card. Her ability is, whenever this character quests, each opponent chooses and discards a card. So I think that's a nice ability to pair with that, because when I do use Emerald, one of the cards I always have in my deck is the 4 inkable Tinkerbell that's evasive and gets you 2 lore, which I think is really nice, where it's this one, it doesn't have evasive, but it has a really nice ability that can get cards out of the opponent's hand. And once again, really helps with pairing with maybe that other Bell card that we just talked about, where it's... Because I'm also thinking of Sudden Chill, which, makes opponents discard a card as well. But yeah, I think it's a decent card.
Yeah, I think it's a decent card. I mean, of all the Emerald that I've seen, it's one of the weaker ones, but again, like I said, I personally have thought Emerald's been just spot on. And
I think she will pair with the next card we talk about, though, quite well, though.
Yeah, so Prince John, greediest of all, Dreamborn villain prince, 3 cost, uninkable, 1 strength, 2 willpower, has ward, so that's always good. And I sentence you as the ability, whenever your opponent discards 1 or more cards, you may draw a card for each card discarded. and he has 2 lore. So this again, I would say, is another one of these cards in Emerald that's just outstanding, in my opinion.
Really? Outstanding, because I thought it was just okay as well, because like the uninkable makes it a little less favorable. He's only 1 strength, 2 willpower. The 2 lore is nice, but like if you want to really get use out of the ability, it'd be more so you just have him sit there. So like if you have a deck that's built to make people discard cards, it would be a really good card that you just don't quest with, even though that 2 lore is very appetizing on him.
It just gives you draw support, and Emerald doesn't have a ton of draw support outside of, Cheshire Cat and stuff like that. But
it's dependent on, though. Well, Cheshire Cat doesn't give you draw support.
Sorry, I meant to say Flynn Rider.
Yeah. So I say like the only thing is you'd have to make sure you have cards in your hand that help that make the opponent discard, essentially.
Yeah.
So I think like Mad Hatter is a really good draw support. But like with him, it's like you have to make sure that you're running with cards that make the opponent discard. So like you're running with that Daisy Duck card. You're running with that Huntress, or the Hunter Bell card. You're running with Sudden Chill. You're running with that I think there's a couple more cards in Emerald as well that have the discard. So it's like if you're running this, it is very good if you make sure that you build your deck with have the opponent discard cards in mind, which I typically don't do, which is I guess for me is why I don't see that much use out of it. But I guess just for myself.
Yeah.
You and I play completely different, so I guess with you.
And I currently don't run any Emerald. I mean, I get frustrated playing against Emerald, and it always makes me think, and I currently don't run a lot of Emerald, but all these Emerald cards that I'm seeing personally, my mind's just going, I'm seeing some major strong meta connections, and I really truly think Emerald is the color that is going to be the dominant one in this next set.
All right, second to last card we got here is Bippity Boppity Boo, an action song card, which is cost 3, uninkable. It is essentially you can return a chosen character of yours to your hand to play another character with the same cost or less for free. I think that's a really nice card that fits in with Emerald's theme of reactive quite a bit, where it's like, like if you got like a Mad Hatter or somebody out there, nobody's just challenging him, somebody's doing something to him that keeps him from questing, like the opponent has a Jasper or whatnot. It'd be nice where it's like, all right, let me get a different card into my hand, or from my hand into play that will be more useful than this Mad Hatter, and you don't have to discard him, he goes back into your hand. So I think it can be useful, especially since it's a song, so you could like sing it with Mad Hatter, use it to put Mad Hatter back into your hand, and then just play another card for free. Now, that card does get played and it's drying, so you won't be able to, use it right away, but allows you, because I know I did this to somebody when I was playing my Emerald deck, where they had like a card out that was 2 lore, and it just kept on using Jasper to make them not be able to quest with that character. And it was quite frustrating for them, and you could really counter that by putting them back in your hand, doing something else that might be more useful, where it's like, okay, they're only 1 lore, so they're not as big as their target for that, but they'll do something else.
Yeah, I mean, this is in my opinion just a different version of Bounce, with like a little bit extra piece to it. I definitely think it's a usable card. It's going to be niche, but
this would be useful with Bounce, because Bounce is when you put a card back into your hand, you get to do something, right?
I believe so, yes. But this one also lets you return a card to your hand to play another card.
Yeah, so it's like Bounce would pair well with this, because you'd use this ability to get card and swap it out, but then you'd activate Bounce's ability.
Yeah, absolutely. So the final card for Emerald here that we have is Pack Tactics. It is a 4-cost inkable card. It is an action, and you gain 1 lore for each damaged character opponents have in play. So, this is an interesting card, to say the least, because I when I play right now, there's not many times that people just are leaving damaged characters out there.
Yeah, typically it's you focus down 1 character at a time. I think it might be useful if paired with more like splash damage characters. Like if you're running a Steel Emerald deck, having this with Giant Tinkerbell would be quite nice, because you play that Giant Tinkerbell, every enemy becomes damaged, and then you can play this card, and all of a sudden the opponent has 5 characters that you just damage, that's 5 lore you gain almost instantly.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very valid point.
I mean, it can even be useful for like just gaining 2 lore. Like you pay 4 ink to gain 2 lore. I'll tell you, that has been the difference between winning and losing sometimes for me, where I was about to lose a game, where I was about to win a game, but somebody, I was just 1 point away, and I realized, oh, I have Eye of the Fates. I just played that, used it, and it gave my one character +1 lore, which is just what I needed to win before they were going to, start wiping out my characters and really doing some good damage to me. So I feel like it could be a clutch near the end, and I think it's useful because it is inkable, so it's nice to have one of these in there where it's like, it might be useful in only 1 out of 10 circumstances, but it is useful for those other 9 because you can just ink it.
It could be a game clincher, I give it that.
Like, the Beast is Mine. I have that card in my deck for Emerald, because it's like, if somebody has an evasive character that I just can't deal with for some reason, I can use that to make them reckless and they have to, challenge with that character. So I have that in my deck. I think I've never used it for that purpose once, but it is inkable. So it is nice where it's just like, all right, it's not useful to me. Let me just ink. I think this is going to be a very similar card that I use like that, where it's like, it might not be useful a lot of the time the way that I play, but it's nice to have it for if it is needed in that one use.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I can definitely see it being used.
Compared to all the other Emerald cards, though, we talked about.
Yeah, it's not one of my higher ones, but yeah, that's all we have for this video. And again, I'm gonna stand by. I think Emerald's gonna be very strong, very strong. I think I'm leaning towards building an Emerald Sapphire deck personally, for this next set, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think I need to work on my deck building a little bit more, because right now I just basically run what the starters were, which is, Amber, Amethyst, Ruby, Emerald, and Sapphire Steel. I really like my Sapphire Steel deck, like just that combo there, but I do want to experiment a little bit more. It's just annoying for me to have to constantly like change up my my decks every time I want to try something new. So I think, especially once we get the restock in as well, I get more cards, I can start just being able to build more separate decks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because right now, just having to like tear apart a deck to make another one is quite frustrating, especially when I'm trying to go between different colors. Like trying to build like a Sapphire Steel deck and a Sapphire Amethyst deck like I've been wanting to do is annoying, because a lot of the Sapphire cards I want are in one deck. I'd have to unbuild one of them to build the other.
Yep, I understand that. And I plan on, we plan on doing some actual deck videos for you guys as it comes. And in all honesty, we'll have to really work on those for set 2 as well, because I really think the meta is about to be shaken up big time by set 2. So
we didn't see any here, but Resist, I feel like, is really going to change things up.
Yeah, there's definitely the Resist, and I really think we're gonna see meta shift towards archetypes like princesses, like fill-ins. I joked around about building a dragon deck. We don't really have that archetype yet from what we see, but I think it's coming.
And I think what's cool as well is like the meta is going to change, but not specifically in a way where it makes other ways of playing, inert. It's just like, hey, here's a different way you can play now. Where it's just like a lot of the ways that you build decks are still going to be useful from originally. It's just like, hey, here's a, you can see with the Madam Mim cards, a different way you can play a game now. So yeah, that's all the new information we have to discuss on Rise of the Floodborn for the Amber, Amethyst, and Emerald cards. Stay tuned, because we're going to be throwing another video at you right after this one that covers the rest of the cards. If you're looking for more videos on Lorcana, check out this playlist or video here. And until next time, have fun and game on.
And quest on, my friends.